Hello everyone, today we're gonna do a mission to try and send a little base to Tylo. Now this is Tylo and it isn't the prettiest planet, but it is the hardest one to land on because it has no gravity and it has no atmosphere, so you can't use parachutes. But it has a high gravity, like Kerbin. So I want to send a little base to the Tylo. I forgot its name. Okay. So I don't want to make it too complex. So I'll put just a lander can. This. Now this would be, there would at least be a reason to do this if you were in science mode. But because I am not, it is just for fun. There's no reason why you make a base. This small base, I can't even refuel it, and even if I could, that is the hardest place to go on. So you would refuel on an easier place to land. Now I am putting some things from the breaking science. If you want to do this, no, not from the breaking science, from the breaking ground. If you want to do this and you don't have the breaking ground, it's not necessary. I am putting it just to give us more science than only science base. Science junior, I thought it was science base. Anyway, because you're going to Tylo, there isn't an atmosphere, so not every one works. So these are the available things. If I remember well, that can work without an atmosphere. Okay, only these things. Now I will put the same amount of RTGs because each one makes one power, and each one of those consumes one. Well, if you want to be more precise, it's the radioscopic thermoelectric but that's the wrong name. I'll put 2 photovoltaic panels, just for aesthetics. There's no reason to put them, because you already have all the power you need from RTGs. But it just looks more realistic like this. You could put some docking ports on this. However, I don't like putting docking ports because you just have to be very precise, and so I use the grabbing arms. So if I will ever do some missions to go to this base, well then I would use the advanced grabbing unit to talk to it. And one last thing is that this requires, well, I just want to give it some power because I want the Kerbals to be, let's say, comfortable. So they will go in these ones, the Mach 1 crew cabin, and the lander pod is just for commanding. So when just to be in full control all the time, I put the Archie 001S remote guidance unit. Remember that this video is kind of a tutorial. You don't have to do it precisely how I am doing. The important thing is that it has a similar mass, the same or lower mass, and then you can use the same rocket. I'm not gonna put a craft file, but you can just copy. This is why this video is not sped up. Anyway, for some of you who haven't, maybe some of you haven't gone on the moon, and if you haven't got to the moon, if you haven't gone to the moon, don't do this mission. Just don't. It's a bit complicated, that is why it's the hardest place to send a base on, because it's hard. So if you haven't gone to the moon, I don't think it's a good idea. Now I am putting this on this hinge. If you don't have the braking granules, you can just do this. Like this. And that would work, but just for aesthetics. If you want it like this, you should use a hinge or something else to make it move, because like this is a bit hard to transport. Okay, we have our base. Now the last thing are the landing legs. Now I am not sure which landing legs to use. Okay, I'll use. One thing you should remember is that on Tylo the gravity is so high that the jetpack isn't powerful enough to make Kerbals fly. So what that means is that if you're using these landing legs that I'm using, then you should put some mobility enhancers. I always use the bigger one because they have precisely the same mass, and this one looks better. And if you're somehow landed in a impossible place, well, you hear this kind of a hole, then it still works, although that doesn't exist on Tylo as far as I know. Anyway, now I am trying to keep anyways, I was trying to keep the center of mass as close to the center as possible, so I think I'll change it. And I do not understand why it's a bit more over here. Anyways, if it's just a bit, then that is not a problem. Now, because thankfully the gravity of Ilu is very close to the gravity of Kerbin. What this means is that everything practically behaves like on Kerbin. What is this? Well, we have a dancing base. I'll try to use the time warp. Okay, I'll try changing things. Random legs. Let's see if it does any better. And okay. Activate SAS. I'll make them a lot softer. Like this. I hope it should absorb better the vibrating, and so it wouldn't make this vibrating. This normally isn't such a good idea to do, but I have no choice but to do. So now it's kind of a walking to this side, to the right. It is strange. That should be a bug. I think it's a bug. I don't know. Anyways, it's something strange that I don't understand. And I forget. And it is better, but it is also worse. Now it's really touching. Okay, I think the only way that I think I can do is that when we land this, I will change the spring strength and the damper strength. You could try to change it now. Now this is the smallest base I could think of. That you should at least put one of those, I don't remember, one of those things that transform ore into fuel and monopropellant. And you should put that row, so it's more sufficient. And it's called, the Convertitron. I won't put it because I want to keep it light. But you should put it. And now I am asking myself, am I not seeing well, or is, I think it's kind of a bit touching more on one side. I don't know why it is. Okay, I'll leave it at this. I can make it straight. Anyways, now the center of mass is here. Okay, so I'll put a fuel tank and I will move it to the center of mass as precise as I can get. That is pretty precise, I think. Actually, I forgot to put it. You should put a decoupler. Decoupler. I put it upside down because if I remember well, like this, it should stay with this fuel tank. That's good enough. Now you could use some cheetah. How the heck? Cheetah engines. Now I just want to try them with the FUD. I think a good amount is 3. 4 would be a bit too much, I think. And 2, I don't think it gives enough control. Oh, it's still vibrating. Actually, it is. Now let's see how this works. This doesn't work well, and it's about to explode. Although you could use it kind of a missile, but that is not the purpose of this. What you can do is to make the thrust point away from this, so it's kind of like this. I think I'll use the cheetah engines. Cheetah. Okay, it is flying, and it's flying well. Now I just want to try to land it. That doesn't seem good to me. I'll put a reaction wheel. Now this is just so that you see that I am not using cheats. As you can see, I don't have any cheats on, and that is why it's a catastrophic failure. So if you don't know how to use cheats, you can do this. Now I won't be putting the FUD engines like this, because the thing is that if you put them pointing not straight down, so it's to the side or an inclination like it was, well, then they give you a bit of horizontal thrust. That means, and because they cancel, you're losing fuel. So that isn't good. Now this, you could call this cheating, putting one the other. So I want that. This would increase the mass because you need a bigger fairing. But I don't want to cheat. Then I think these Oscar B fuel tanks. If you want to do something with kind of arms made out of fuel, I think these are good. They're not too big, not too small. They're kind of right. I'm trying to find us. Okay. Now, if you don't know, if you want to use the tool move, and you want to move a lot, you have to press shift so that you can move it, I think, as much as you want. I am not 100% sure, but I think. Anyways, going back to what I'm doing. This is how I think it should be. Now, The number was going to be fuel tanks. It's not necessary to know how many of them. Just so that the thrust almost hits this, but it doesn't. It's the end ports. Now I want to put some structs, but I want to show you what happens if you don't. Some of you might know what happens, but what you get is bending, which is not something which normally isn't good. As you can see, that isn't good. So it simply bends, the engine bends this one, leaving you with a pretty catastrophic failure. Actually, the Kerbal Kerbin survived, although that was pretty bad. One thing is that I am doing it in hard mode. So I just made a couple of changes, a bit of changes, but it's still kind of hard mode. I'll put 4 of these Vernon engines, and I'll put these structs. Okay. Now I'll show you the difference with the reaction with the Vernon engines and the structs. As you can see, I was trying to control it, but I am not good at controlling. Anyways, this is not how it should land, but it landed with success. So you could apply this as a very, very dangerous way to land, but it works. Pretty badly, but it works. And I have destroyed, actually no, the base is pretty fine, pretty good. Almost nothing exploded. So I just have to see the center of mass. I'll use the tool move right here. I will try. That is like this. It should be a bit better. Just have to. If the one thing of the tool mode that I like is if you look at it from the top, there's this arrow. So if you look very carefully, maybe you should see the pixels. And if you see, well, you don't necessarily have to see the pixels, but it's a good way to see how aligned it is. That is aligned enough. Just put one more reaction. Now, the last thing I have to do to this base is to give it power. I'll put some solar panels and some batteries. Just some batteries. You never know. Maybe in a couple of billions of years when the sun will be bigger, Kerbin won't be, but in real life it will be in a couple of billions of years. So maybe the sunlight on Tylo would be bigger. It wouldn't, because this is the Kerbal system, not the solar system. But anyway. I'll put just a bit of solar power because why not? Now the main power source will be RTGs. Luckily, this should contain some uranium, but they kind of don't. Kerbal Space Program. That means they have no risk of killing your Kerbols with radiation or making a nuclear bomb. Anyways, the last thing I want to try with this craft is how I can separate this stage. Well, I will move the RTGs. I think I can decouple. And you see, you could easily decouple the stage, making absolutely no debris. And so let's say that this works pretty well, I must say. I'll put some Vall engines on this. Oh no. I have destroyed the base. I don't know if the center of mass will be in the same position. Try not to destroy your base like I did by clicking on this spot if you made it precisely how I made it. Anyways, I have to put some external fuel duct. Why is it called external fuel duct and external fuel duct tape? Anyways, I've moved the RTGs inside. Now I kind of don't want to put them here because the Kerbals would be living inside of an RTG, which is not good for the health. Now there will be only 4 Kerbals because I have 2 Mach 1 crew cabins and 2 times 2 is 4 because 2 is the crew capacity and I have 2 of them, so I'll put 4. I can put 4 Kerbals. There's the Mach 1 undercan, so I could put 5, but they're more comfortable here, so when I don't have to control it, when it has already landed, I'll move this Jebediah Kerman into the Mach 1 crew cabin in an empty seat. Now comes the time to make the nuclear stage. I like putting it upside down for the payload. You don't have to, but I think it is easier like this. retract all of your landing legs. I don't know how much time this feature is lasting, and we still have got only the thing that will land the base and the base. Anyways, put this craft. How much does this weigh? 24 tons. Though you should include the lander. Now, then I will put another one of those, and I'll put in the staging nodes. I'll make this, and I'll make this simple fairing. And now the reason I have this is to make the nuclear stage. The nuclear stage, it is the one that will take us to Jool orbit and Tylo orbit. Now, try not to make them go like this. Okay, I finally okay, that's good enough. Then I'll put these radial decouplers. I'll put 8 of them. I'll put these. Now the reason why we would decouple these is because why should we take mass of empty fuel tanks if they don't give us any liquid fuel? Okay. Now I just want to see how well this works. I want to see if I placed all of my decouplers well, and so everything should be working if I place them all perfectly. So decouple the fairings. Then these should be empty, but they're not. Then decouple this. We don't fly in this case. Then we decouple our base, and we landed with the worst landing I know of, and making a mess on the launch pad. I don't know why things in this save like to vibrate. I mean, look at these 2 pieces of fun. They're vibrating too as my base. If you are copying my base, maybe it would be try to put the micro landing. How are they called? The micro landing struct. and see if that would stop them from vibrating for no reason. Then you're gonna put the nerve atomic engines. Now when these activate, we'll be outside of the atmosphere. So before we activate them, we'll decouple their fairing. And we'll decouple the engines, and then the engines, then we'll decouple this, then the base with the land, then the engines, and then the land. Everything looks well. Now one thing you should know, this is an incredibly big rocket. So I want to tell you one thing to make it. If you have it like this, you can't construct under the floor, so if you press shift, you hold the entire ship and you can move it up. So as you can see, the base is practically on the floor, in the roof. Then we'll put this keyboard ion fuel tank. This normally when I put my circulation, the engine that makes me do circulation, I normally use only this and a Rhino engine. But this time I'll put a bit more fuel because this is heavier than normal. There's the Rhino. And I forgot to don't put the decouple, that's only weight. Now this, I am warning you, this is an enormous craft. It is truly enormous. Oh, I can't move it up anymore. It's the limits of construction. Now I've got a problem. It's too high. Okay, we must find a solution for making such high rockets. Now I've put the Mammoth, which is the most powerful engine as far as I know in the game, if you have no mods. Then the vectors. I am doing kind of a Saturn V style, and they used these engines. These are more power, but they are less efficient. And when going in such hard places to go, you want to be very efficient. So we activate these engines. Okay. Now there's only one thing. There's maybe if you put 5 Rhino engines, not Rhino, 5 Mammoth engines at the bottom instead of 1, and 4 vectors. So that is the power of 2 Mammoth engines. Then it might lift off, but like this, it's just too heavy. And if you just press too much D, then you will have explosion. Now, just to make you see how enormous this is and how heavy. It destroyed the launch pad. But strangely enough, the fabric kept the base intact. For the most part, anyway. One engine destroyed. One Sec 9 container module destroyed. So was a pretty good fairing, but didn't protect very well. So you don't want, you want it to lift off, obviously. So this is what I do. You kind of put some boosters, which you don't decouple, because if not, it will fall back to the ground if you decouple them. Just attach these with no decouplers, these fuel tanks. And then in each one you put a mammoth engine. Then you could put a nose cone, but I want to see if I would use some adapters, it may be more dynamic and contain more fuel. You don't have to do this, but I think it's more point like this, which means more aerodynamic and has more fuel. Then I'll put some launch stability enhancer. I think they could put an easier to pronounce names. Anyways, it's time to make this rocket lift off. Now, just to tell you how powerful this rocket is, as far as I know, the most powerful rocket in rocket history was the Saturn V, and this, I am almost perfectly sure, is much more powerful than the Saturn V. Okay, now just one thing. I'm making crash fonts anyway. So I forgot to put some structs, and I just want to see before the acceleration of this craft. It's pretty good, but it's not good enough to use as a missile. Jebediah Kerman, strangely enough, survived. He was the only... Oh no, he was... I don't remember. I think he was the only Kerbal. Anyways, this shows you how indestructible Kerbals are. I mean, they survive. A rocket that was intentionally from the ground, and okay, and he didn't die. Oh, we must put that struct. Now I don't think it's necessary, but you might put some Werner engines. Just to be... Oops. Now, if you have a slow computer, this craft may be too big, too complex for your computer, and if it is, try sending a smaller payload. Because the smaller the payload, the smaller the rocket. Okay, very good. And okay, you should put... Okay, I'll have to put some down. Now, I am not touching the keyboard, it's only SAS, and as you can see, I think I should put some more stability to this. At least it is landed with engines down. I must say that this makes a pretty big explosion, mostly if it hits a facility. I'll put 16 Vena engines, 8 here, and 8 here. Another thing that I will do, I don't think this would help in any way, but I will try. We'll put an external fuel tank so that I'll activate the engines and then decouple these once the bit enhances, and decouple the external fuel tank so that I don't lose fuel and I start with my engines on. I don't think that'll make any difference at all, but I haven't tried it, so I'll try it. Now, I don't know how much fuel this uses. I don't know how much it uses precisely, but I am sure that it uses a lot of fuel, so that would be good. For giving it fuel for a bit, for sure. And I'll put this. I'll put this. This. Decouples with this. Okay. This is kind of like real rockets are launched. They activate the engines and then make them lift off. I don't know if in Kerbal that makes any difference or in real life. Let's see. I must check the fuel. It uses a lot of fuel. What does this rocket have? It's a pretty good missile, or that you can control it. So it's not a good missile. I made a similar rocket before and I didn't have such problems. That is a lot of things that went wrong. That made this craft explode. What could I do? I can put some fins. Although I'm kind of getting desperate. This might work. And another thing, that the base is upside down. So I will put this command module and I will control everything from I'll move it down so that I can see. This is a very big craft. Why can't I? Okay, control. I hope it controls it from there. I have no idea if it is that the command pods are all upside down. They were upside down, so it gets confused because it thinks it's going the wrong way. But this is the only way to be sure. The only idea I have to be sure. I could have had a docking port, because now I don't know how I can click this. Oh. I think there is a better way to do this. Okay, finally. Oh no, a boost exploded. I have never made such a big rocket that could destroy the VB. So, I know, maybe I know why it is like it is. So, I will move this fuel tank. Okay. And let's see if we can finally launch this rocket without destroying the launch pad or the VAB or the rocket itself. Or anything else. Except the stages with the couple. Okay. I think I should make an action group. If this doesn't work, well then the VAB will put an action group. And I launch it again. To make control from this. That remote guide. I don't know how it's called. That thing we made to make control from. How is it called? This. I don't like. Okay, the Proline Octo 2. I think I would make an action group for making control from the Octo. I don't remember the Octo something. It is going straight up. Finally. if you're doing this, maybe you don't need so many mammoth entrants. You could maybe put 3. Now make it a bit faster in the game. And I hope it works. Now one thing is it, except if my upper stages don't have enough thrust, there's no reason to go in orbit. This can go straight up. We are at 40 kilometers, 50, 60, and we are at 70 kilometers out of the atmosphere, 80, 90, and 70 to decouple this stage. We are still accelerating, and I want to go prograde. Okay, this is good. This doesn't have much acceleration. This has, to be precise, 7.7 meters per second. That is lower. This is less acceleration than the gravity of the Earth. But Kerbin has a lower gravity. Now, so that you know, I am showing you I don't have cheats on. No cheats on. I want you to know that when I'm doing tutorials, I don't use cheats. Actually, this is a kind of a tutorial. Actually, I forgot I should decouple the phalanx. This will make the acceleration higher. You should immediately, when you go out of the atmosphere, decouple the phalanx. Although if you're doing precisely what I'm doing. If you will do another mission to Tylo for some reason, well then, that case, decouple the phalanx when you go out of the atmosphere. Now, here comes the going to Jool orbit part, to get a Jool encounter. This is probably the hardest thing to know how to do. So you just do a maneuver by making right click, delete this maneuver. No, okay, so you do left click and then you make add a maneuver. Then this symbol is prograde. You put until this line represents your orbit if you do the maneuver. Sorry for the noise. So then by clicking this ring, moving it, you can change the position of the maneuver node. Then just move it around until you get here. You see, this is a Jool encounter. It's not telling me, I don't know why, but do focus view and see. Okay, the periapsis is high enough to don't go inside of Jool. That is probably how your periapsis, how your orbit will be. Now, this is the risk part of going to Tylo. Waiting till the maneuver. Luckily, if you have the latest version, you have this warp to the next move. If you had the last version, you also had this. You probably have the last version. Okay, now I have to do the direction of the maneuver. Now I like to be very precise with my maneuvers. Now, when you're doing maneuver, you just have to go. You have to put SAS to maneuver. You could do it manually, but that's just too hard for me. Mostly, if this is the first time you're going to Tylo, making maneuvers, don't do it manually. Okay, now that we are on the maneuver, we can press Z to go in full thrust. Now this burn will take 9 minutes. So I'll wait until this stage loses all of its fuel, and then you're gonna wait. We're gonna cut the part because or we will speed it up. It's better if we speed it up so that you see that I'm not gonna use cheats. And in the meantime, I'll do some. Oh, 9 minutes. I'll do something else. Okay, the maneuver hasn't finished yet, but I wanted to talk a bit about this craft. What is going on? Wait, some parts are starting to overheat. I don't know which part it is, but it's starting to overheat, so I'll have to and the nuclear engines are getting pretty hot, so I'll have to make them cool down a bit. One thing they should do in Kerbal Space Program is, I hope they do it in Kerbal Space Program 2, on the next update to Kerbal Space Program, I hope they do it, is that you can warp while you have your engines on. Now, going to the Kermans, the Kerbols. Bill is extremely happy, as you can see. I don't know why he is so happy. He's not the first who has gone on Tylo. Then all Jebediah and Bob Kerman are happy too, but Bill Kerman is the happiest. Valentina is still happy, everyone is happy, but Bill Kerman is the happiest. One thing I noticed is that my orbit is not the one with the maneuver nodes, and there's written start burn in 81 days and 3 hours. And they haven't quick saved, which may be a problem. But I have only one option to hope it will work. We still have 3 minutes. Till the maneuver node ends, and I hope it ends well. As you can see, here you can see Valentina through the crew cabin is, it's hard to tell from here, but she doesn't look sad, so she's happy. I don't think Kerbals can be mad, so if she's sad, they aren't even hungry. I think they have chlorophyll, you know? And they don't breathe out. Because if not, the ship would have run out of air. Or if they have something which creates carbon dioxide or takes it out from the air. I don't know, maybe if they have chlorophyll, maybe they emit oxygen, so it has to create carbon dioxide. I don't know. But no matter what it is, it would use some power because they're the lights, so it's a bit strange. And one thing I don't understand is there's this light action group, which, what does it do? If you have the interior overlay off, then it activates the look like they have light, but inside there's no change, and they aren't kind of illuminating the inside or the outside. I don't know. Now, not too much. I would decouple these outer Mach 1 liquid fuselages. And the acceleration right now is pretty low. It doesn't tell me information now. I don't know what these maneuver nodes are doing. I don't want to get an Elu encounter. I don't think my rocket is made for Elu. It's made for Tylo. Let's hope for the best. And prepare for the stop watching the video. So, and I also hope I won't go out of the solar system, the Kerbal system. I hope that I will get an encounter there. And let's see what happens. It's very different. I don't know how much. Delta V. I use them all like this. Well, what I can hope is that I don't get out of the solar system trying to go to Tylo. And I bet I will decouple my Mach 1 liquid fuel fuselages. Okay, deactivating engines, decoupling, activating engines. This is looking oddly familiar from when I get out of the Kerbin system to solar orbit. Okay, let's hope. Let's hope that this quick save takes me to when I made the maneuver node. I don't know. Okay, I was lucky. I don't have to do all the episodes again. You should be careful with maneuver nodes. This is even before I made my maneuver node correctly. Yes, it is. I'll do the same. And this time, knowing what can happen with maneuver nodes. Let's see what happens. It was a bug. Now it is at 54 seconds. Okay, and I'm not happy because now I have to wait an extra 9 minutes. Well, that was just to show you that mistakes happen. And that is why you should always quick save before making a maneuver. Remember that. That was strange though. That I have went another Tylo a couple of times to Dune, and that never happened to me. Well, once. This rocket works better than I expected. I was expecting that would only take me to orbit, but no, that made me do part of the maneuver. Now my craft is not connected. Now I just want to try to activate the Commission 88, and I want to see if now I am connected. Yes, 100%. The Commission 88, maybe it will get you as far as you can go in Kerbal Space Program. But anyway, we are much closer to the sun than Jool. Why did they make Jool green? Does it have chlorophyll too? I don't know. Now, the thing is that, well, the only reason one would go to Tylo is, well, because it's harder space to go to land on. But for example, Vall has, if you have the breaking ground, well, it has volcanoes, and even if you don't have breaking ground, it looks better. Laythe, it is more like Kerbin, so it's easier to go. Bob has low gravity, I think. Yes, it has very low gravity. Paul has lower gravity and looks cool. That looks strange, not cool. That is strange. So there's absolutely no reason why one would go to Tylo, except for doing something hard. Also because, as you can see, our periapsis is very high. So maybe the only thing is that to get a Tylo encounter, you would have to decrease your periapsis of less than to get a Laythe or Vall encounter. But if you think that makes it easier, well, then you would go for Pole. It also looks cooler. I mean, that is strange. Has kind of a red region. I don't know. Pole is strange. Laythe, well, doesn't look so good. It's kind of like Kerbin, but much less green. I have made a mission to Laythe, and that was pretty easy to land on because I landed with a plane. So if you're asking yourself why it was such a long time I haven't made a Kerbal Space Program video, it is simply because I have tried to go to Duna, and so I thought, okay, I'll make a video to go to Duna, but then I decided, well, maybe that's too easy, so I thought, I'll make a video on going to Laythe. Then I thought, oh, then I am finally doing it when I reached Tylo. Strangely enough, I haven't gone to Eve and Moho. Dress, may be pretty obvious why I haven't gone to Dress. It has this inclination it has an inclination relative to Kerbin's, so relative to my orbit. So yes, I would take less delta V. Then you need to go to Jool, but you have to know how to make that inclination, and I didn't know, so I went. The first planet I went on was Kerbin because I started on that planet. Then Duna, then Laythe, then Vall, and then Tylo, and then I want to go to Eve and Moho, and maybe look at Pole. It's strange. I want to see how it'll accept the surface. Anyways, I have been talking. And so we have only 800 for us remaining. Now, as you can see, that strange thing that happened with the maneuver before, that made us use a lot of fuel. In real life, if you want to exit the solar system, you just have to make 11 kilometers per second more. That is a lot, but that means that if you have an orbit that is not around the sun, well, then you can see another star. So to crash into another star, you need about 11 kilometers per second, and after I don't know how much time you will crash into a star, but you need 30 kilometers per second to fall into the sun. Well, if I remember well, in the Kerbal system, it is 1/8, so 8 times less, so it is much easier. So if you know how to go to Jool, don't think you can do it in real life. At least you have the idea how to do it. Don't think that you are sure that you can do it. It's no, I'm controlling my orbit. I focus on dress because it's closer. So one thing, this maneuver nodes, you see that there's this cross, you can kind of delete the maneuver node and it stops there. When there's kind of a V, that means that it is the amount that it changes from your orbit in the maneuver node, the amount of delta V you need to change is such a low percentage, kind of doesn't matter. But I like to take that to 0 meters per second. Now, if you're gonna do this, just remember to lower your throttle to be as precise as possible. It doesn't have such a high acceleration, unfortunately, this rocket. one part is starting to heat up. Now, as you can see, there's this V. Now I want to take that as close as I can to 0. Oh, minus 0.1. That is very close. Now, I just want to say, now, Dress is a planet which I would like to go on. If I remember well, there was a canyon. Dress. If I remember well, and that is the case, I want to see it. Maybe this is a canyon. I don't know. One part is heating up. I don't know what part it is. Actually, it's this. What? Why is this heating up? And what is it making it heat up? I don't know. Maybe controlling. Okay, it's time to wait until we get into Jool orbit. This should be a periapsis, I think. That is our ship. It is getting pretty close to Duna. Actually, it's very far away. If I put it set as target, you absolutely don't need to. But if you then focus on Jool, then okay, that didn't help at all. One thing you should see, this is how much it lasted for the Kerbals. Now, one thing you should see, it went to 404 days, and that is because Kerbin a day is 365 or 6 days is less than a year, I think. There's no other explanation, so has to be that. Now, one thing is that because they're orbiting fast, these planets. Oh, okay, I made it. You should remember that if you are searching for a pretty spot, well, then you should go to low Tylo orbit, as I probably will do, and then choose a spot where to go to land, and then go retrograde and land there. It's not that simple, but that is the concept. So let's go to this encounter will take us very far away from Jool. And going too fast, so we will escape from Jool. So we have to slow down until we get to Jool orbit. Then, this is my trick to use very little delta V. Then make an orbit that goes inside Tylo's orbit, and at that point, you just wait. Now, for the Kerbals, it is 2 years, and what that means is that because Bill Kerman is still happy, and Jebediah and Bob Kerman and Valentina Kerman, that means that Jebediah, Bill, Bob, and Valentina have been happy for 2 years and 86 days. Why are they so happy? Are they listening to the song Happy all the time? That wasn't a good joke. Okay, we stopped the time warp, so we are gonna do retrograde, and sorry for the noise. And when we'll be at retrograde, we will start burning. Well, you should wait till periapsis because that is the most efficient point. So we have a lot of delta V, but I don't want to use all of it. So I will do what you should do to save delta V, because maybe you were less efficient, or maybe you were more efficient than me. But if you were less efficient than me, then this could turn out useful. I am going retrograde now so that I have the time, so that I don't have to waste time. As you can see, it kind of follows it. It's not fast, just that is how it works. As you can see, the Jool escape, the minutes are rising and not going down. What that means is that we are slowing down, and we are slowing down. You could do a maneuver, which I'm gonna delete. You could do a maneuver to just see how much it will take. I am not gonna do this because this is too simple for me to make a maneuver. I'll just be checking these outside liquid fuselizers, and I just have to wait until it's time to decouple them, and then time to decouple this stage here. Now this stage for landing has only 2,188. Now another thing, before you land on Tylo, you should quick save, because if you explode, well then if you don't quick save, you should do a lot of mission again, and that would be when you would waste time. Anyways, getting to our Jool escape. It will happen in 33 days, 4 hours, 5 hours, 44 days. One day is 6 hours. That is very short. Luckily, hours are not based on something in your solar system. It is based on how many times and how much time an atom vibrates. I don't know how many times, and I don't remember the atom and the isotope. I don't know if it was an isotope. Anyways, let's not get to quantum physics. Well, actually, that's not. I don't know. Let's get to Tylo. So, if you want to go to Tylo, if you are using solar because you forgot to get your RGGs, which I hope you didn't, but if you did, just remember not to land in a crater. Craters always make a shadow. Mostly on Tylo that is already little sunlight. Well then, landing with the shadow of something dim, you get very little light. So if you have so it's not a good idea to land in craters. In real life, it will be a good idea because there will be asteroids that could hit your base. But for only 4 Kerbals, and for no asteroids, that I am pretty sure that no asteroids will collide with Tylo. So I am more scared of not landing in a crater. So we'll land about here, maybe. I don't know, because my orbit will be kind of 9, so depending on what that where that line is, what would my orbit is, I don't know. It will be probably like this. Or like this, so I could land right here. Right there. Getting to the rocket, not in motor maps. In a bit we'll decouple our Mach 1 liquid fuselages. There are 8 times 4, that is a lot. I like these flames. They look kind of like a star. Yes, precisely like a star if you look far away. Only from close it's much brighter. And from far away you don't see it. If you didn't put the external fuel duct, then decoupling these won't make any sense. These engines are very bright. Now, as you can see, we are going very slowly. Now, this is Tylo. This is enough. I will warp to my periapsis. The ship is moving very slowly for orbiting because it's very far away. We are millions of kilometers. When the scale goes, I don't know if that is millions of meters or kilometers. I don't know. One thing I want to try to make in this safe is to try and keep it clean. What I mean by that is trying to terminate every piece of debris I put in space. Every fuselage here has only 14.63 units. As you can see well, Jool. Now, when you time warp, or for example 5 times, or more than 4 times, the craft kind of stops spinning or rotating, or also it's kind of moving like this, and now it's perfectly still. It would be better if I had it at the inclination of Tylo, but I think that is okay. I think. We will be landing what says the title. I hope I will be landing on Tylo. But I just hope. I might be landing on Vall. I won't be landing on Laythe for sure. Vall or Tylo or Bob. Probably Vall, Laythe or Tylo. But no. It's too far away. I hope I have enough Delta V. And I may be landing on Vall. Okay, there will be another video for landing on Tylo. I was unfortunate and I'll be landing on Vall. Sorry. I could adjust my orbit, but that would require more Delta V than I have. If I'll ever get a Vall encounter, I think my orbits are too far away. Yes, they are too far away. So I'll do warp, Jool, periapsis. And I will go retrograde and I'm gonna adjust them a bit. That should be good enough. And next time to wait to like get a, or if I ever get a Vall encounter, I could make a gravity assist to maybe go to Tylo. That's not a good idea though. Wait. Have I escaped Vall? I had a Vall encounter, but I escaped, I think. I hope I didn't get a gravity assist that makes it they will never get a Vall encounter. Okay, I have a Vall encounter, so up here. So I am sorry that I didn't go to the hardest place, but at least went to Vall. I hope I'll land close to a volcano. At least. Really hope. There's only one problem. I might not have enough Delta V in this stage. If I don't have enough Delta V, I have to use it from the lander. I have to use fuel from the lander. Then I might not be able to land and I'll crash. Because remember, I don't have any cheats on, as you can clearly see. I have to use fuel from the lander. I really didn't want to do this, but I think it's better to crash into Vall than to escape Vall. Maybe I won't crash into Vall. And okay, this is the problem. I really don't want to use cheats to destroy this part. I didn't want to do this, but I have to use cheats. Well, I'm gonna skip Vall. Why? Why do these things happen to me? Okay, finally. But I already have escaped Vall, so I'll quick save. Because I may just not get. Okay, this isn't working. Wait. Oh, bye. I might get to Bob. I hope I get somewhere and not just stay forever in such a strange orbit, because I have only 2188 delta V. If you're trying to do this, just watch the video before you do the mission. This wasn't a good tutorial. And I will never get a Volk mountain. I have no idea what to do now. Because I don't want to use cheats. That is sure. I think. Okay, let's say that this is a space station in orbit. Let's decouple this. I won't be able. Let's do this. Let's do a spacewalk. And we have a Jool station. With landing legs. Which doesn't make any sense to have landing structs. But this was made to be not a space base, but oh well. Okay, maybe next episode I'll be going to Duna. I'll just make a bit of artificial gravity. Wait. How do you make it this spin? Oh. And we have artificial gravity. Okay, it has some signal, and well, I think that is what we were able to do in this mission. At least we have a. Actually, I have to rename this vessel. Yeah, station end. Jool Space Station. And we have it. A Jool station.